On the day I got my wedding certificate, my dad gave me a card. 10 million. Keep it yourself. I went to the bank on the spot to make a deposit with a 10-year death period. Early the next morning, he said he was going out to do some errands. The sales call came in the afternoon. Madam, your husband bought a house and a car here with full payment, saying it would be used for his brother's wedding, but the card cannot be swiped. I sneered. It turned out that he had already made plans and was waiting for this card. I just didn't expect that I would lock it in advance. By the time he came back disgraced, I had already printed out the divorce agreement. 01. The day I and Zhou Mingkai received their certificates, the sky was overcast. Like my mood. When he came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, he clutched 2 red books and smiled from ear to ear. Honey, we are legally married now. I twitched the corner of my mouth and said nothing. At the door, my father, Xiao Jun, was leaning against the car and had been waiting for a long time. When he saw us, he lit up his cigarette and came over. His eyes skipped Zhou Mingkai and landed directly on me. Of course. He handed me a thin envelope. Take it. I took it and there was a bank card inside. Dad. Password your birthday. His voice was so low that only I could hear him. 10 million. I'll put it at the bottom of the box for you. Keep it yourself and don't let anyone know. My heart skipped a beat. 10 million. My dad is a businessman, so this little money is nothing to him. But for me, it is a life-saving straw. Zhou Mingkai's eyes were already bright, like a wolf smelling blood. He came over and said, Uncle, this is so embarrassing. This is what I gave to Ran. It has nothing to do with you. My dad blocked him back with one word, and his face instantly became stiff. Xiao Jun patted my hand. Mark my words. After saying that, he got in the car and left. The car drove far away, and Zhou Mingkai was still staring at the back of the car. He turned his head and smiled again. Honey, Daddy loves you so much. Let's go home. It's not my home that I'm going back to, and it's not his home either. It's an apartment we rented outside. Along the way, he asked insinuatingly how much money Carrie had. I just said I didn't know. It was my father's intention. He obviously didn't believe it. When he got back to the apartment, he immediately went to work in the kitchen and said he wanted to celebrate. I excused myself as I was tired and went back to my room. After locking the door, I immediately took out my phone and checked the balance. A long string of zeros. Heart pounding. I didn't hesitate, opened the bank app, and found the time deposit business. 10 years, the time of death. My dad's words rang in my ears. Don't let anyone know. He knows Zhou Mingkai and his family. This money gave me the confidence and was also the last test of Zhou Mingkai. I closed my eyes and clicked OK. Transaction successful. An electronic receipt pops up on the phone screen. I took a screenshot, saved it, and then deleted all operation records. After doing all this, I breathed a sigh of relief. After walking out of the room, Zhou Mingkai came out with dishes. Honey, come on, I've made your favorite braised fish. He was overly attentive. At the dinner table, his cell phone kept ringing. All our WeChat messages. He replied and smiled at me. I could clearly see that the group chat called Love Each Other as a Family was flashing like crazy. I knew exactly what they were talking about. After eating, he went to wash the dishes. I sat on the sofa and watched the sky outside the window getting darker. A night of silence. I slept deeply, because I know that the drama really begins tomorrow. Holding the screenshot of the deposit certificate with a 10-year expiry date, I felt for the first time that I might still be able to hold it in my hands in the future. 02. Early the next morning, Zhou Mingkai got up very early. I opened my eyes and saw that he was fully dressed and looking very energetic. Honey, are you awake? He came over and kissed me on the forehead. I feel sick. My mother said that today is a good day and asked me to go out and do some errands. What's the matter? I asked, pretending to be casual. Good thing. You'll find out later. He smiled mysteriously, his eyes full of greed and excitement. I know what he's going to do. It was nothing more than taking the card given by my dad to buy a wedding house and a wedding car for his useless brother. He thought that I was still the fool who was coaxed into running around by his sweet words. He thought that the money my father gave him belonged to the Zhou family. Then you come back early. I sat up and spoke calmly. He didn't notice anything unusual. Don't worry, honey. I have a big surprise for you. He picked up the car keys and went out confidently. The moment the door closed, the last trace of warmth on my face disappeared. I didn't move, quietly listening to the sound of the car starting downstairs, and then walked away. Dead silence returned to the apartment. I took out my mobile phone and pulled out the photos of Zhou Mingkai's family. Him, his mother Lu Yume, and his brother Zhou Mingyuan. The 3 people smiled with shrewd and calculating expressions on their faces. Before we got married, Lu Yume asked me about my family's background in a subtle way. It was said that Zhou Mingyuan was getting married, and the woman required a house and a car. Their family can't get it. Zhou Mingkai held me in his arms and vowed. Wife, don't worry, my brother's business is my business, and I won't let you be wronged. Now that I think about it, it's really ridiculous. His plan was focused on me and my family's money from the very beginning. In order to marry me, he pretended to be a considerate boyfriend for 3 years. He takes me to and from get off work every day, rain or shine. Remember my menstrual period and make me some brown sugar water. He remembers all my preferences clearly. I once thought I had found true love. It wasn't until they started talking about marriage that his mother, Lu Yume, revealed her true colors. She said that the bride price was waived and we were all one family. She said that my family would buy the wedding house and it would be named Zhou Minkai so that I would be protected. She said, I am a girl. Why do I earn so much money? I am not going to supplement the family income in the future. My dad invited the whole family out at that time. It was Zhou Minkai kneeling at the door of my house, begging my dad. He said he loved me, that he would be good to me forever, and that he would take care of his mother. I relented. Now it seems that the kneeling was just a performance in his plan. A cruel trick to defraud a bigger target. I got up slowly, washed myself, and cooked myself a bowl of noodles. After eating the noodles, I turned on the computer and started looking up the legal terms related to divorce. Property division, child support. We don't have kids, so things are much simpler. The most important thing is the premarital property. The $10 million my father gave me was given to me on the day I received the certificate. Legally, it may be defined as marital property. However, my dad has transfer records. Moreover, Zhou Minkai's behavior today is the best evidence. It proves that he was trying to defraud the money from the beginning. I wrote it down one by one and organized my thoughts. Time passed by minute. My heart is at peace like never before. No anger, no sadness. There is only a cold, dead wasteland. The sunlight coming in from the window is very warm, but I can't feel it. The phone has been quiet. Zhou Minkai didn't send me a message. He is busy building a better future for his brother. Use my money. 2 p.m. An unknown number called. I looked at the screen and knew that the moment of judgment had arrived. I picked up the phone. Hi, hello. Hello, are you Miss Yaran? Opposite was a female voice with a sweet voice. It's like this. Your husband, Mr. Zhou Minkai, is ordering a 3-bedroom apartment and a BMW 5 Series at our sales office. There was a hint of excitement and confusion in the saleswoman's tone. He said that the house and car were all bought for his brother's wedding. But she paused. The bank card he provided cannot be used. 03. Can't swipe the card? I asked knowingly, with just the right amount of surprise in my tone. Yes, Miss Ya. The saleswoman's voice was a little urgent. We tried several times, but the POS machine always prompted that the balance was insufficient. Mr. Zhou said there are 10 million in the card, which is impossible. He's a little emotional right now. Is it convenient for you to communicate with him? I can imagine Zhou Minkai's expression at this moment. Shock, anger, disbelief, and the embarrassment of being embarrassed in front of outsiders. Excuse me. I chuckled, not loudly, but clearly enough. I don't know about this. Buy all the money for a house and a car for his brother? Has he discussed it with me? The saleswoman on the other end of the phone was stunned. This, Mr. Zhou said, you agree. I agree. My voice grew cold. My dad just gave me the card yesterday, and he's going to use it to buy a house and a car for his brother today? Who gave him the face? The saleswoman was completely silent. She may have never seen such a bloody family drama in her career. Ms. Ya, what do you mean? What I mean is simple. I spoke clearly, word for word. First, this money was given to me by my father and has nothing to do with him, Zhou Minkai. Second, I don't know about buying a house or a car and I don't agree with it. Third, if the card cannot be swiped, that is his problem and has nothing to do with me. Tell him to come back if he can't get out and don't embarrass himself outside. After saying that, I hung up the phone without waiting for the other party to respond. The world is purified. I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. There is no pleasure in revenge in my heart. There is only the tiredness that has settled. This relationship, this marriage from beginning to end, is a well-designed scam. And I was the fool who was kept in the dark. Fortunately, my dad is more sober than me. Fortunately, I'm not hopelessly stupid. I stood up and walked to the window. The cars were coming and going downstairs, and everyone was rushing to their destination. Where is my destination? The phone started vibrating like crazy. It's Zhou Minkai. I didn't answer. After hanging up the phone, WeChat immediately popped up. Honey, what's going on? Why can't I use the card? Did you touch the money in the card? The salesman is right next to me, and I'm so embarrassed. Hurry up and transfer the money. One message after another, full of questions and orders. Not a word of concern. Not a word of explanation. He didn't even bother to pretend anymore. I looked at his profile picture, the photo taken when we were traveling together. In the photo, he smiles so gently. I once thought that was my whole world. Now it seems that it is just a false painting. I didn't reply to him. I turned on my computer and created a new document. Title, Divorce Agreement. Party A, Xia Ran. Party B, Zhou Minkai. I wrote down one by one. Property division. We have no common property. The house he lives in is rented, and the car he drives belongs to the company. And I have my own savings and the 10 million that my dad gave me that has been locked up. Debt. We have no mutual debt. I never owed money, whether he did or not, I don't know, but it has nothing to do with me. I write slowly and carefully. Every word is a farewell to my youth for the past 3 years. It is the verdict of this absurd marriage. After writing and checking, there are no problems. Connect the printer. The printer hummed like a final song for me. 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces. The writing is clear in black and white. I laid it out in duplicate. He took out the ink pad again. Everything is ready. I sat on the sofa and poured a glass of water. Quietly, wait for him to come back. 04. 6 o'clock in the evening. The sky turned completely dark. The sound of a key turning the door lock came from the entrance. More rough and irritable than usual. The door was pushed open violently and slammed against the wall. There was a loud bang sound. Zhou Mingkai is back. I was sitting on the sofa. On the coffee table in front of me were 2 documents and a red ink pad box. He rushed in like a gust of wind, carrying the cold air from outside. His face was ashen, his eyes were bloodshot, and his hair was a little messy, like a cornered animal. Xia ran. He growled at me, his voice hoarse. What do you mean today? I didn't look up at him. I just slowly picked up the water glass and took a sip of warm water. My calmness clearly irritated him. He walked up to me in a few steps, grabbed my water glass, and threw it to the ground. The cup fell apart, and water splashed all over the floor. I'm asking you a question. Are you mute? He looked down at me, his chest rising and falling violently. I finally raised my eyes and looked at him quietly. Look at this face that I have loved for 3 years. At this moment, it was full of ferocity and violence. There is no longer any trace of the usual warmth and pretense. You should know best what it means. I spoke, my voice not loud, but steady. Zhou Mingkai, how do you feel when you are in the sales office and embarrassed in front of so many people? He was like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, and his fur instantly exploded. You still have the nerve to say it. Did you transfer the money? Tell me. Why are you doing this? Do you want to see me make a fool of myself? He roared. Spittle almost sprang into my face. I leaned back and put some distance between them. Why should I transfer away? I asked him back. That's the money my dad gave me. Does it have anything to do with you? You took my card and bought a house or a car for your brother. Did you get my permission? Zhou Mingkai, you didn't even bother to pretend. You just swiped your card. Who gave you the confidence? My words were like knives, piercing the last bit of his dignity. He froze, his face turning red and white. He hesitated for a long time before holding back a sentence. We are husband and wife. Isn't your money my money? I'm buying a house for my brother. Isn't it also for a family? If he gets married, Mom won't have to worry about it every day, and we can live our own lives. I laughed. Really laughed out loud. What a high-sounding reason. What shameless logic. For our family? I stood up and looked him straight in the eyes. Zhou Mingkai, ask yourself, from beginning to end, are you doing it for this family or for your Zhou family? Did you marry me because you love me, or because my father is Yali Jun? His eyes dodge, not daring to look at me. What nonsense are you talking about? Of course I love you. Love me. I pointed to the divorce agreement on the coffee table. If you love me, will you eagerly take the money from my father to satisfy your family's selfish desires the day after I receive the certificate? If you love me, will you get angry, throw the cup, and yell at me when I question you? Zhou Mingkai, put away your cheap love. I find it disgusting. He followed my finger and saw the black and white words on the paper. The 5 big words, divorce agreement, stung his eyes. The blood on his face instantly faded and turned pale. Divorce? He seemed to have heard a big joke. Xia Ran, are you crazy? You want to divorce me just because of this little thing? Little things. I repeated the word, feeling incredibly ironic. In your eyes, cheating on marriages and transferring property are trivial matters. Zhou Mingkai, what's your bottom line? I didn't want to transfer the property. I will pay you back the money in the future. He argued eagerly, but unconvincingly. Return. What do you want to repay? Use your salary of $8,000 a month to repay $10 million. Or do you have no intention of paying it back in the first place? You just want to turn this money into the premarital property of your Zhou family? I pressed forward step by step, not giving him any chance to breathe. His face became increasingly ugly. His calculations and his incompetence were bloodily uncovered by me and spread out in the sun. He took a deep breath, as if trying to calm himself down. He put on a sad expression. Of course, isn't our 3-year relationship worth this little money? Don't you know how I treat you? Have you forgotten what I did for you? He started playing the emotional card again. This is his best trick. Unfortunately, it is no longer useful to me. I remember. I nodded. I remember you picking me up from get off work every day, rain or shine. You make me brown sugar water and remember all my preferences. I also remember that your mother asked our family to buy a wedding house and put your name on it. I even remember you kneeling at the door of my house, begging my dad with tears. Zhou Mingkai, I used to think it was love. Now I understand that that was the initial investment you made for today's $10 million. Your performance is wonderful, but it's time for the show to end. I picked up an agreement and the ink pad and handed them to him. Sign it. Put down everything you shouldn't take. It's easy for us to get together and part ways. 05. Zhou Mingkai stared at the divorce agreement in my hand. That look seemed to poke 2 holes in my body. He didn't answer. Suddenly, he knocked down the agreement. Papers were scattered all over the floor, like broken butterflies. I won't sign. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out each word through his teeth. Xia Ran, don't even think about it. I won't get divorced. I looked at him, not surprised. I bent down and picked up the scattered papers one by one. Rearranged it and put it on the coffee table. Then I took out another identical one from behind the sofa pillow. I printed a lot of copies. I told him calmly, it's no use tearing it apart. The anger in his eyes almost burst out. He probably never thought that I, who had always been docile, would become so tough. What do you want? He clenched his fists. Do you want to force me to death? I don't want to do anything. I sat back on the couch, keeping a safe distance from him. I just want to end this wrong relationship. Zhou Mingkai, what happened now? Don't you still understand? It's over between us. From the moment you take that card and walk into the sales office, it's over. Impossible, he retorted excitedly. Of course, please listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. I was just confused for a moment. I was forced to do nothing by my mother and my brother. You know, my brother's girlfriend insists on a wedding room and a wedding car, otherwise we won't get married. My mother cries in my ears every day. What can I do? He began to misfortune and try to put the blame on his family. How ridiculous. A 30-year-old man has no responsibility and no opinion. He will only package his greed into filial piety and helplessness. That's your problem, not mine. I interrupted him coldly. Can you plot against me and my family property just because your mother forced you to do so? If you don't have money, you can earn it. Instead of focusing on your wife's dowry. That's not a dowry. He immediately grasped the topic. That's the money my uncle gave us after we received the certificate. That's our joint property. Xiaoran, even if it goes to court, the money will still be half of mine. He finally showed his foxtail. This is why he refuses to let go. Half of 10 million, 5 million. It was enough for him and his family to make a good comeback. Married property? I looked at his face twisted with greed and shook my head. Zhou Mingkai, you are too naive. First of all, my dad has clear transfer records and gift instructions. This money is only given to me personally. Secondly, even if the money is controversial. I paused, looked into his eyes, and told him the cruel truth word for word. You won't get a single point either. Why? He asked subconsciously. Because of the money. I sneered, my eyes cold. After you got the card yesterday, I already transferred it to a financial product. 10 years, the date of death. In the next 10 years, no one can touch this money except myself, who can redeem it under certain conditions with my ID card and password. The air suddenly became quiet. The expression on Zhou Mingkai's face froze instantly. Shocked, stunned, disbelieving. All kinds of emotions flashed across his face one by one, and in the end, only deathly defeat remained. What did you say? His voice was trembling. 10 years, death date. Yes. I answered in the affirmative. So, let alone 5 million, even if it's 50 yuan, you can't take it away. Now, do you still want to fight with me about this so-called community of property? As if all his strength had been taken away from him, he staggered back 2 steps and fell to the ground. Completion. All is lost. Everything he had carefully calculated and the 10 million he had placed high hopes on came to nothing. It's like a gambler who, after betting all his fortune, discovers that the opponent's trump card is a natural one that he can never win. The despair of falling from heaven to hell is enough to destroy a person. He sat on the cold floor, lost in thought. He kept mumbling to himself. How so? How could? I looked at him coldly. Not a shred of sympathy. If we had known today, why bother in the beginning? After a long time, he seemed to finally accept this fact. He raised his head and looked at me with a hateful look that I had never seen before. Xiaoran, you are so cruel. Each other. I responded without any sign of weakness. Compared to your careful planning, my little tricks are just for self-protection. He suddenly got up from the ground and rushed to me. But he didn't take action. He knelt down with a pop sound. Again. Just like the last time I begged my dad at the door of my house. He held my legs and cried. Honey, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Can you forgive me this time? I don't dare anymore. I will listen to you in everything from now on. Let's not divorce, okay? I don't want any more money. I don't want any more money, as long as you don't leave me. He cried like a child, his face covered with snot and tears. If it had been before yesterday, I might have relented. But now I just feel incredibly sick. How can a man's knees be so cheap? For money, you can kneel down. In order to redeem the scam, you can also kneel down. I tried hard to pull my legs back, but he held me tight. Just when we were at a stalemate. His cell phone rang. He hurriedly took out his cell phone. 2 words danced on the screen. Mom. As if he had grasped the last straw, he immediately pressed the answer button and turned on the speakerphone. A sharp female voice immediately came from the other end of the phone. Mingkai, how's it going? Did that bitch spit out the money? Did she agree to buy a house for your brother? It's Lu Yume. Zhou Mingkai's face instantly turned uglier than crying. He forgot that the phone was hands-free. 06. Lu Yume's voice was as sharp as an awl, piercing the hypocritical calm in the apartment. Zhou Mingkai's body suddenly stiffened. The sadness and remorse on his face instantly shattered. Mom. He tried to turn off the speakerphone, but it was too late. What a bitch. Stop talking nonsense. He yelled into the phone, more to cover up than to blame. Lu Yume on the other end of the phone obviously didn't understand the situation. Am I talking nonsense? I scolded her lightly. This woman put on airs before she got married, and now she has taken 10 million from your family and wants to keep it all to herself. There's no door. Tell her that the money is your joint property. If she doesn't use it to buy your brother a house, we will sue her. Let her be ruined. Lu Yume's voice became more vicious every sentence. I folded my arms and listened coldly. This is my mother-in-law. A woman who has already regarded me as a thorn in their side and a cash cow for their family even after we have only met a few times. Zhou Mingkai was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. Mom, stop talking. I'm discussing with Ran. Discuss? What's there to discuss? Lu Yume's voice rose an octave higher. Have you been coaxed by her again? Let me tell you, Zhou Mingkai, if you don't even get this little money back, you are a wimp. What about your brother's marriage? Where do you want our Zhou family to put their face? You. Aunt. I finally spoke, my voice calm. You don't have to curse on the phone. If you have anything to say it in person. There was silence on the other end of the phone for a moment. It took a second for Lu Yumei to react. Xiaoran, are you listening too? Yes. Okay. Hello, Xiaoran. Just wait. I'll be here right away. After saying that, she hung up the phone with a bang. Zhou Mingkai held his cell phone and knelt on the ground helplessly. He looked at me and then at his phone, his face ashen. He knew that his last hope, the rescue he had brought in, had completely pushed him into the abyss. I took my legs out of his arms and stood up. Get up, I said. Stop kneeling, it's ugly. Your mother will be here soon. Save some energy and think about how to explain to your mother later. The 10 million she has been thinking about has already flown away. Zhou Mingkai slowly got up from the ground. He didn't dare to look at me and lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong. But this time, I won't show any mercy. The apartment fell into a deathly silence. None of us spoke. He is awaiting trial. And I am waiting for the next farce to begin. About half an hour later, the doorbell was ringing loudly, as if my door was being torn down. I walked over and looked out of the peephole. Lu Yumei stood at the door with her hands on her hips and an angry look on her face. Next to her, there was a young man standing, thin and tall, with an impatient look on his face. It's Zhou Mingkai's younger brother, Zhou Mingyuan. I opened the door. As soon as the door was opened a crack, Lu Yumei squeezed in. She looked me up and down, her eyes full of contempt and disdain. Are you Xiaoran? Her tone was unkind. Auntie, we just met a few days ago. Even minded her. When we were talking about marriage. Snort. She snorted coldly, past me directly, and walked into the house. Zhou Mingyuan also slipped in, his eyes darting around the apartment as if he was patrolling his territory. Lu Yumei saw her lost eldest son at a glance. Mingkai. She rushed over and grabbed Zhou Mingkai. Did she bully you? Tell Mom. Mom will make the decision for you. Zhou Mingkai's lips moved, but he couldn't say a word. Lu Yumei was furious when she saw how useless he looked. She turned her head and pointed directly at me. Xiaoran, I won't beat around the bush with you. You must take out the 10 million your father gave you today. I don't care whether you give it to my son or transfer it directly to me. In short, this money will be used to buy a wedding house for Mingyuan. She felt confident, as if she had saved the money. Why? I walked up to her and asked calmly. Just because you are the daughter-in-law of my Zhou family. Lu Yumei puffed up her chest. You married Mingkai. Your people and your money belong to our Zhou family. This is the rule. Sorry, the Qing dynasty has been dead for more than 100 years. I looked at her with cold eyes. My people are mine. My money is also mine. It has nothing to do with your Zhou family. You. Lu Yumei was choked by me and could not speak. Her face turned the color of pig liver. Zhou Mingyuan next to him was unhappy. He took a step forward and said nonchalantly, Sister-in-law, you can't say that, can you? My brother has put a lot of effort into marrying you. Now that you have entered the door, isn't it right to help the family? That 10 million is a drop in the bucket for your family, but it is life-saving money for our family. Just your best and help. When I looked at the shameless faces of this family, I felt like my stomach was churning. A PUA, a moral kidnapper, and a pretender of pity. What a perfect family. I'll say it again. There was no warmth left in my voice. Money, no. Not only is it not happening now, it will not happen in the future. I saved that money for 10 years until I die. I repeated this sentence again. This time, it was told to Lu Yumei and Zhou Mingyuan. Sure enough, the expressions of mother and son were exactly the same as Zhou Mingkai's just now. Shock, stupor, and then uncontrollable rage. What did you say? Lu Yumei screamed, her voice almost piercing my eardrums. 10 years to die. You vicious woman. Have you already thought about taking this money for yourself? Have you never wanted to live a good life with us Mingkai? She rushed towards me like she was crazy. Wanna hit me. 07. Lu Yumei is like a crazy lioness. The skinny fingers spread out, their nails sharp, and they clawed straight at my face. I was prepared. The moment she pounced, I took a step sideways and easily dodged. She used too much force and threw herself into the air, staggering forward a few steps. Almost hit the coffee table. How dare you hide? When the attack failed, she became more and more angry. Turned around and rushed towards me again. This time I didn't hide. I reached out and grabbed her wrist with precision. Her wrists were thin and skinny. When I exerted a little force, she grimaced in pain. Ah, let me go, you little bitch. She cursed and hit me with her other hand. I twisted my backhand and restrained both of her hands. She couldn't move and could only curse me in the most vicious words. What an outrage. My daughter-in-law beats her mother-in-law. Zhou Mingkai, are you dead? Watching your wife bullying your mother. Zhou Mingkai woke up as if from a dream. He rushed up and tried to pull me away. Of course, let go. That's my mother. If she wants to hit me, can I fight back? I looked at him coldly. Zhou Mingkai, you see clearly, it was your mother who made the move first. I was acting in self-defense. Zhou Mingyuan, who was next to him, also gathered around him with an unkind look on his face. Sister-in-law, if you have something to say, please let my mother go first. He said nice things, but his hand quietly stretched out towards my arm, trying to sneak up on me. I moved my feet slightly and kicked Zhou Mingkai's calf without leaving any trace. He said, ouch, his center of gravity was unstable, and he hit Zhou Mingyuan. The brothers rolled into a ball. The scene was very funny for a while. Lu Yumei was so angry that she was shaking all over. You two losers. She scolded her son. I shook off her hand, took 2 steps back, and distanced myself from the family. I'll say it one last time. My voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for everyone in the apartment to hear. I rent this house. Please get out immediately. Otherwise, I will call the police. Call the police? Lu Yumei seemed to have heard some big joke. She got up from the ground and put her hands on her hips. You report it. I want to see if the police come to arrest you or me. The police don't bother to care about a family's affairs. If you don't come up with the money today, we won't leave. She looked like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. Zhou Mingyuan also followed suit. That's right. I must give an explanation today. They thought I was just scaring them. They thought that I would also take care of Zhou Mingkai's face and the so-called relationship between husband and wife. They are wrong. I took out my phone with a deadpan expression. In front of them, 3 numbers were pressed. 110. Zhou Mingkai's face turned pale. Of course. No. He rushed over and tried to grab my phone. I raised my hands to avoid him. The phone call went through. Hello, this is the 110 alarm center. A steady male voice came from the other end of the phone. The apartment suddenly became quiet. The arrogance on the faces of Lu Yumei and Zhou Mingyuan froze instantly. They didn't expect that I would really dare to fight. Hello. I spoke, my tone clear and calm. I'm going to call the police. Someone broke into a house privately and physically attacked me. My personal safety is now threatened. I spoke clearly, word for word. The police officer on the other end of the phone immediately recorded it. Okay, madam, please lock the doors and windows to ensure your own safety. We will dispatch the police immediately. Okay, thanks. I hang up, looking at the stunned family of 3 in front of them. I raised my phone and said calmly, the police will be here in 5 minutes. Now, are you leaving on your own, or are you waiting for the police to come and ask you to leave? Zhou Mingkai was completely panicked. Of course, how can you call the police? This is a family matter. It's so embarrassing to go to the police station. Disgraceful. I sneered. Why didn't you feel ashamed when your family came to my house, forced me to take money, and attacked me? Now you know you're afraid? It's late. Lu Yumei's face turned blue and white. She obviously didn't expect things to develop to this point. She pointed at me sternly. You crazy woman. You don't even want your family for money. You're not my family. I corrected her coolly. From the moment you stepped into this house and forced me to take money, it was no longer the case. Zhou Mingyuan tugged on his clothes and lowered his voice. Mom, how about let's go first? The police are here. It doesn't look good. If he gets into trouble and gets a criminal record, it will have a bad impact on him. Lu Yumei was still hesitating and unwilling to give in. 10 million. It just flew away. How could she be willing to do so? I won't leave. She scratched her neck. I want to see what the police can do to me today. I'm his mother. I come to my son's house. It's only natural. She started acting up again. Just then, there were rapid footsteps in the corridor. From far to near, and the sound of the intercom. Police, here we come. 08. Dong, dong, dong. The knock on the door sounded steady and powerful. Police, open the door. A majestic voice came from outside the door. The bodies of Zhou Mingkai's family of 3 were all shocked. His face was even uglier than before. I walked over and opened the door. 2 uniformed policemen stood at the door. One old and one young, with serious expressions. They took a look at the scene inside the house. I stood at the door, fully clothed and calm. Zhou Mingkai's family of 3 stood in the middle of the living room, looking panicked and embarrassed. There were broken cups and scattered divorce papers on the ground. The scene is clear at a glance. The older policeman glanced around and finally landed on me. Did you call the police? Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. I nodded. It's me. What's going on? He asked, walking in. The young policeman followed behind, holding a body camera in his hand. The red indicator light flashes one after another. Before I could say anything, Lu Yumei took the lead and pounced on me. She started crying. Comrade police, you have to make the decision for me. This vicious woman, she beat me. She raised her wrist, and it did have the red mark I just grabbed. She still wants to kick us out. This is my son's home. We worked hard to raise him and marry him, but this is what she did to our old man. She burst into tears and portrayed herself as a poor mother-in-law who was bullied by her daughter-in-law. If I hadn't experienced it myself, I would almost believe it. The old policeman had obviously seen this kind of scene many times, and his face showed no expression. He looked at Zhou Mingkai. Are you her son? Yes. Zhou Mingkai stammered in reply. Is she telling the truth? Zhou Mingkai glanced at his mother, and then at me, his eyes evasive. This is a misunderstanding. We just have a bit of a family conflict. Misunderstand. I sneered and finally spoke. Comrade police, let me tell you. I recounted what happened, exactly as it happened, in an organized manner. From the time my dad gave me money, to when Zhou Mingkai went to buy a house and a car without permission. From the time I filed for divorce, to the time the family of 3 came to visit me. From their verbal threats to Ms. Liu Yumei's physical attack on me. I spoke very calmly, without adding any exaggeration, just stating the facts. This is my divorce agreement. It has been printed. I pointed to the papers on the coffee table. This is the cup that was broken by Ms. Liu Yumei. I pointed to the debris on the ground. As for the red mark on her hand, when she attacked me first, I grabbed her wrist in order to protect myself. It was self-defense. I have evidence. With that said, I picked up my mobile phone and called up the recording of the phone call from sales just now. I pressed play. Hello, are you Miss Yaran? Your husband, Mr. Zhou Mingkai, is making a full payment for a 3-bedroom apartment at our sales office. The sweet voice of a saleswoman sounded in the apartment. It clearly tells how Zhou Mingkai tried to embezzle the 10 million. Zhou Mingkai's face instantly turned the color of pig liver. Liu Yumei's crying also stopped abruptly. The policeman's face darkened. They looked at Zhou Mingkai's family with scrutiny and displeasure. The truth is already very clear. The old cop turned off my recording. He turned to Liu Yumei and his tone became stern. Old man, family conflicts are family conflicts, but it is wrong to hit someone. Also, breaking into private homes and making verbal threats are both illegal acts. What kind of intrusion into a private house? Liu Yumei was still arrogant. This is my son's home. What's wrong with me coming to my son's home? Excuse me. I took out my phone and opened an electronic contract. Comrade Police, the lease contract for this apartment is here. The lessee is me, Xiaoran. Legally, this is my home. The 3 of them forced themselves to stay here, even though I made it clear that they were not welcome and asked them to leave. This is breaking into a private house. My words were like the last straw, crushing all their excuses. The old policeman nodded. He looked at Liu Yumei and Zhou Mingyuan. Okay, we understand the situation. Now, please both of you, leave here immediately. Otherwise, we will have no choice but to take you back to the police station in accordance with the law. Why? Zhou Mingyuan shouted unconvinced. The young policeman stepped forward and stared at him. Just because we are the police. His eyes held unquestionable majesty. Zhou Mingyuan was instantly frightened. Liu Yumei was so angry that she was shaking all over, but she didn't dare to act anymore. In the face of absolute state power, her shrewish tricks are simply not enough. She glared at me with a look that wanted to eat me alive. Then, he was reluctantly supported by Zhou Mingyuan and walked towards the door. When she reached the door, she didn't forget to turn around and curse. Just wait. Our Zhou family won't let you go. The old policeman frowned. If you say one more thing, come back with us to take notes. Liu Yumei immediately shut her mouth and walked away dejectedly. Now only me, Zhou Mingkai, and 2 policemen were left in the room. The old policeman looked at Zhou Mingkai and sighed. Young man, let's discuss family matters carefully. Don't let your mother get involved again. Then he looked at me again. Girl, you are alone, please be safe. If they harass you again, call the police anytime. Thank you, Comrade Police. I sincerely thank you. The policeman completed his task and walked away. The door is closed. The world finally became quiet again. Zhou Mingkai stood in the center of the living room like a sculpture that had lost its soul. He looked at me with complicated eyes. He probably discovered it for the first time. I, Xiaoran, am not a soft persimmon who can be manipulated by him and his family. I pointed to the door. It's time for you to leave. 09. Zhou Mingkai didn't move. He stared at me, his eyes looking like they were about to burst out of fire. Xiaoran, you are really good. He squeezed out a few words through his teeth. You actually called the police. You have completely disgraced our family. I looked at his sullen expression and thought it was extremely ridiculous. Face is earned by oneself, not given by others. I responded calmly. If you cared about face, you wouldn't be here today. If you cared about face, you wouldn't